tier list. So today we're going to be going over a tier list of all the Star Rail characters so far that we know of. I know as of recently there have been some new information about some new characters. We're not going to be going over those characters right now. We just don't have enough information on them just yet. But in the meantime, we can start with these 23 characters. I'm going to be going over these a little bit fast because there are 23 of them and a lot of information to go over. So I'm not gonna spend like an hour video on this. I'm just gonna go over these relatively quickly. That way we can just get it over with. Of course, any of these characters could change as of whenever. They can just change any of these characters up. One can go from absolute, S tier to garbage in the next beta. We have no idea, but as of right now, this is the information that we have. Let's get started. So let's start from the very bottom. The very bottom being, I'm sorry to do this to you, Arlon, but it has to be Arlon. Arlon is probably one of the worst characters, simply because he relies on lower HP to actually do something. Basically, his whole niche as a character is the less health he has, the more damage he does. That's pretty much it. This automatically rules him out from most characters because he relies on another character to actually support him. Of course, there are characters out there who are like, it would be better if they had a support character, yada, yada, yada. But no, this character needs a support character. He cannot heal himself, and he doesn't get a revive mechanic or some sort of healing mechanic until you duplicate him 4 times. I'll just call it C4, simply because it's easier to say. Until you C4 him, he's not good. And even when you C4 him, that's his only ability that actually saved him, and he's still just not good. He doesn't do enough damage. There's another character here that's way better and can heal himself. Does it way better. He's just garbage. Next we have Serval. Serval is she's okay. She's not that great. Basically she does a lot of like AoE damage. Not a lot. She does AoE damage and she can shock enemies. But the thing is, when shocked enemies are shocked, they only do increased damage from Serval. So every time someone attacks an enemy that is shocked, they do not take any extra damage. It has to be from Serval herself. Not only that, she's just not a very good damage dealer. Clearly, she's meant to be some sort of damage dealer, acting as some sort of like team DPS, but really she just isn't up to par as some other characters on this list. Next, we have the one and only Sampo. Sampo is an interesting character. I want to say he's the only character that has like some sort of like bounce effect, but I think I remember some other characters doing it. But basically his whole thing is doing like AoE damage, but he's just really bad at it. Like he is just really bad. Like he is probably I think he deserves a D spot, but Arlon is just, I'm sorry, Arlon is just absolute garbage. I couldn't put Sampo next to Arlon, to be honest. I don't think Sampo's like absolutely useless. He has some sort of like outside of battle effect where he can like go invisible, or like some sort of like enemy isn't able to like target him for like 10 seconds. None of his celestial abilities are that good at all. He's just not a really good like character. The only thing that he does is he does a little bit of damage, and that's it. But not even that. He's just like, there's nothing special about him at all. Nothing that you need from this character whatsoever. He's just so bad. Next, we have March 7th, a decent shielder, a decent support character. She's not that bad. She has an ability that basically allows like the enemy, like it basically acts as like a taunt. She can also shield your allies for 60% equal of March 7th's defense. One of her abilities, her ultimate, can actually freeze targets, and those targets are frozen for like 1 turn, so they can't move for that 1 turn. And also, when using a technique to enter battle, there's 100% chance that she's actually able to freeze one opponent. So if you go into battle with one opponent, you have basically a free turn. If you have 5 opponents, at least one of them is frozen. It's not the best, but being frozen does cancel the enemy's turn by 1. Also, when you upgrade her celestial abilities, her shield is upgraded even further, so all the more reason to upgrade her. So next on the list, we have my boy Welt. So Welt is kind of an interesting character because he has abilities where he can reduce speed on certain targets and stuff like that, which is really, really good. Reducing anything related to speed is super good. That is if you're gaining speed. Probably the meta in any turn-based game. However, that's really only his superb thing about him. Everything else is kind of good, not great. Ultimate makes it so their targets are imprisoned. They take more damage and they're a bit slower. You might be saying, oh, that's really good, right? It's all right. Honestly, it would be better if he actually made it so the targets like can't take their turn in general. He's not taking away their turn. You're not getting a free turn. You're just slowing them down just a little bit. But other than that, there's nothing really too special about Welt, to be honest. So I'm just gonna leave him at B tier. You could put him in A tier if you find some good use out of him, but he's definitely not an S tier character. Next up is Pela. Pela is another support character. Her only really good ability that she has is being able to debuff some of the enemies, so they take a lot more damage. But what's also really good is that if some of the enemies have shield, she actually reduces the shield as well. The shield takes a lot more damage, and it lasts for up to 2 turns. That really is only her, good thing that's about her. Nothing too special. That's why she's kind of in the middle, because she kind of does what Welt does, just a little bit better. However, Welt also, even though he's a little bit worse with that, he also increases your team's he decreases the enemy's speed, so they kind of have their ups and downs. But she's definitely on the same level as Welt and March 7th. Nothing too crazy though. Next up, we have my girl Herta. So Herta's whole thing is she does a lot of damage. She does a lot of, she can do either single target damage or AoE damage. Excels after a few turns, because after some of the enemies are below 50%, she does a lot more damage, up to 20%. When an ally attacks an enemy, Pela will also follow up with her own attack. So basically you're getting a free attack on the same turn. And then with her technique, after you use it, she gains 40% more attack for another 3 turns. Not only that, but all of her celestial abilities adds to her damage and critical rate chance. So basically, this character just does a lot of damage. She's not worthy of anything higher though, because I would put her at the top though. I would put her at the very front of B. I don't think she's deserving of the A tier, simply because all the other characters do what she does, but better. Now we're moving on to the A tier, probably the biggest tier on the list. We're going to move and put my girl Sushang on A tier. So the thing with Sushang is that she's also she's a decent attacker. She does a lot of damage, which is really good. But that's not what she's all about. Her turn order is what she's really all about. Not necessarily her speed, but the way she manipulates herself across the battle in terms of which turn she gets is really helpful. She's able to go and take her turn lots of times. So if you have her on your team, you are going to be mostly using her, like 60-70% of the time, since she's going to be moving the most. Not only that, but if you pair her up with some other characters, I'm not gonna do that in this tier list though. She would definitely be an S tier character once you pair up with other characters. But once paired up with some other characters, I'll talk about that in a moment. She becomes a god. So I'm just basing this off of just the individual character by themselves. But other than that, she is very fast. Not necessarily her speed, but again, her turn order is very manipulative. Next, we have Himiko. Oh, Himiko. A lot of people say that she's a like S tier character, and to be honest, I don't really see it. All she really does is a lot of AoE damage, and she can also do this like break thing. Actually, now that I think about it, she could be either like a make or break kind of character. She could either be like A tier, maybe B tier, or on the other hand, she could possibly be S tier. It all depends on this one simple detail. One of her abilities, her passive, when all enemies are inflicted with break, immediately unleash a follow-up attack that deals 50% of Himiko's attack as fire damage to all enemies. So the thing is, with this ability, if she's able to do a lot of damage to the opponent's like break bar, she's really good, because that way she will be able to do AoE damage across the board as many times as she wants. But if she does not do a lot of break damage, she will be ass, because her whole ability is based off of that passive. Other than that, she's just another DPS character. AoE DPS character, to be fair, those are going to be pretty good. It's a make or break, honestly, with this character. I'm going to put her in A just simply because she could be an S tier or a B tier. It really just depends. Next up, we have Blade. And I know some people are going to be mad when I put this guy at A tier. I just cannot get over the fact that characters like this almost rely on another character to assist them. He is basically Arlon, a lot better, to be fair. He does a lot more damage, But the thing with Blade is he is a 5-star. He's good. I feel like he's going to be good early game, because he can actually sustain himself. What he does is he uses HP to attack, to do more damage. Obviously, you're going to have to get some support in for him, because you need to constantly be healing him. He needs to be, like, if there's some revive mechanic that he has, that would be even better, which he does. I think is one of his celestial abilities. He can actually revive himself, or maybe I think he gains HP, I think. But regardless, he has multiple avenues to actually sustain himself, which Arlon doesn't. That's why Arlon is absolute garbage. Don't even like try using that guy. Yeah, Blade is a good attacker. If he is used late game, I am going to guarantee that he is going to require a support character, which honestly puts him down a whole tier, in my opinion. If characters like S tier is all about the broken characters, the really, really, really good characters that can sustain themselves, can do everything. Blade is just not up to par on that scale. Next up, we have Den Hing. Den Hing is just a really good early game character, in my personal opinion. I think he's one of the free-to-play characters as well. You get him at the start of the game. He is just a good, like, single attack, DPS, early game character that can get you started, get you that, like, you know, acceleration to jump forward in the game. Overall, just a really balanced character. He's not S tier because I don't think he's going to be really useful later game. But other than that, I think he's probably one of the more balanced characters out there. Next, we have my girl. Hook is another AoE kind of damage kind of girl, except that she does a shit ton of more damage than Himiko does. But that's really it. She doesn't deserve S tier simply because of the fact that she probably does some of the more higher like numbers in terms of damage. She can also inflict burn to her targets, which deal an extra 50% of Hook's attack as fire damage, and she can also regenerate her own energy, stuff like that. Also, she has a technique that says, when using a technique to enter battle, there is a 100% base chance to inflict burn on all enemies for 3 turns, while burned enemies will take 50% of Hook's attack as fire damage at the start of each turn. That's a lot of damage. So Gepard is kind of a interesting one. He is definitely an A tier character. You could put him at S tier potentially, but I think S tier characters are just like out of the water, kind of like broken. But the whole gimmick around Gepard is he's like a very good support character. He gives your teammates a lot of shield. He does a lot of damage too. But his whole thing is giving your enemies your allies shield for multiple turns, and he can also revive himself. So if you know he's your only support character, and your only support character just got downed, his passive, when struck with a killing blow, instead of dying, immediately heal for 25% of maximum HP. However, this can only occur once per battle, which is really good. If you know any character with this kind of ability of saving themselves from death is really good. I think it's a top tier ability, to be honest. I think that's why he's so high. He's just a super good support character. He can take care of himself. He's just also really well rounded. Such a good character. Next up, we have, oh boy, she's my waifu, but I have to put Kafka at A. Kafka is more like an AoE kind of girl. When she gives shock to the other like enemies, she actually does increase damage to those enemies, but by a lot. So when after an ally uses a basic attack on a shocked enemy, Kafka immediately deals 75% of her attack as lightning damage to the enemy. That's her passive. And not only that, but she has a technique that actually immediately attacks an enemy after entering the battle and deals 50% of Kafka's attack as lightning damage to another random enemy. So basically, she's just attacking all around. She's a very, very good AoE character. And not only that, but she is guaranteed a shock once she enters the battle. So automatically, once you enter the battle, all your enemies are under her spell. So my boy, Jing Wong, he is really good because he actually has this like ability where he can summon an avatar that does a lot of damage. He also does a lot of AoE damage. That's his whole gimmick as well. He's a very AoE heavy attacker, which is really good. I think I mentioned this before earlier in the video, but AoE is I think is going to be a very meta thing. Also, any buffs that Jing Wong takes is added to his avatar. Also, every time his avatar, we'll call it Lightning Lord, that's what it's actually called. Every time his attack count increases by 1, his speed increases by 10. That may not be such a big number by itself, but any sort of speed increase is going to be very, very good. However, the thing about Jing Wong is after he dies, his avatar dies. We're treating them as kind of like separate characters. However, when they die, they are going to go, like both of them are going to go down together. Also, when Jing Wong uses his technique at the start of the next battle, Lightning Lord's attack count in the first turn is increased by 2. So he can attack multiple times in the first turn. So now we are going to get into the S tier characters. Oh boy, let's start. Who do I want to start with? I'm going to start with the tank. So this character, I forgot her name. Let me see. Her name is Clara. Clara is a very tank heavy character. She can take a lot of damage. She's a very, very good taunt character. So basically, if you don't know what taunt means, taunt is like, I'm going to get the attention of all the enemies and I want them to focus on me. I'm going to take most of the damage while my other characters are going to stay safe. That way, if you have a support character on the field, you can give her shield, you can keep healing her, she can keep taunting, she can keep taking the damage, and she has her own abilities to sustain that damage. She is a top tier character all around. You need to pull her if you want to stay alive. Next, we have my girl, Seal. So Seal is a very attack and damage heavy character. With her though, she actually increases her own speed, and once, what have we talked about before? Any character that involves speed is automatically going to be a better character. So she increases her speed, but not only that, so not only are you increasing her freaking speed, you're increasing how many actions she can take. And also she can, like, you know, increase her damage by like 40%, you know, no big deal. Let's get into Asta. So Asta's abilities that I am looking at here are kind of weird. I have a little bit of, they did like a typo here, unfortunately, but I can only go over a few abilities here, but just based off of these abilities, she's already at least an A character. So she deals some damage, not too much damage, but the thing about her is she's another like AoE character, and not only that, but she can increase the actions of all allies by 25%. So all characters on her team will be advanced, like all their action, by 25%. I want you to think about that for a minute. Not just her, her whole team. Next, we have the three, in my personal opinion, the three most broken characters in the game. I honestly think they might deserve their own tier, to be honest. And as a matter of fact, that's what I'm going to do right now. S+. One of these characters is Silver Wolf. Let me tell you about Silver Wolf, okay? Silver Wolf can automatically attack right as she enters the battle. So you basically get a free attack action from her. And after entering battle, ignore weakness types. And then she depletes the toughness of all enemies. If a target's weakness is broken, they become entangled. So entangled basically means that they are kind of like stuck for a few turns. She also deals, like for her passive, she does this thing called a bug. And one of 3 bugs can be applied to a random, to a specific enemy. You can either reduce their attack by 10%, reduce their defense by 10%, or reduce their speed by 10%. For every debuff that the enemy has, Silver Wolf's damage against that enemy increases by 15%, and this can be stacked by 5 times. I want you to think about that for a minute. She can increase her damage by 75%. That's the highest damage increase in the game so far. Albeit, you do need a few turns to get that down, but once you pull it off, that's a 75% damage increase, everyone. Not only that, but she's just a great attacker. She does, if you focus on her damage, she is just automatically just a really good attacker overall. So definitely deserves her own tier, along with Luosha. So with Luosha, he's kind of broken. He is a healer, so he is able to restore his allies' HP and whatnot. That all scales to his attack. So you have to upgrade his attack in order to give your allies some good HP regeneration. However, with the skill that he has, once he uses it, he can use it again for free the next time his allies are below 50% of HP. So it doesn't consume anything. It doesn't consume a skill. So basically he gets this for free. You can heal your allies for free. Okay? For free! And not only that, but he gains something called an Abyss Flower. You can stack Abyss Flower up to multiple times. I'll get into that in a moment. His ultimate just basically does damage to enemies and gets rid of 1 buff. I don't know if you can choose a buff. I think it might be randomized, but for every buff dispelled from an enemy, he gains 1 stack of Abyss Flower. So Abyss Flower, once he consumes all stacks, all 3, he deploys a field against the enemy. And when an enemy unit in the field is attacked by an ally, the ally immediately restores 10% of Luosha's attack to HP. Unfortunately, this only lasts for 2 turns, which is very quick, but that is a really good ability, one of the best in the entire game. Also, with this technique, after using his technique, Luosha immediately heals an ally with the lowest HP by 50% of Luosha's maximum HP. So you have a choice. Actually, you don't really have a choice. Let me rephrase that. You need to scale Luosha's HP and his attack, because you are either going to get one or the other. If you scale his attack, you're going to be most likely well off. If you scale only his HP into the higher numbers, you are going to suffer, basically. But doing both will give you a good balance of both of his abilities. So basically, he's just an OP support character. Last character in S+, my girl, Bronya. Bronya. Where do I even begin with you? So Bronya is also a support character. The thing with Bronya is she is probably one of the best supports, depending on what you're looking for. Bronya can actually advance characters' actions forward, which is better than increasing their speed. And the only reason why is because if you increase their action forward, you get the action immediately. It's immediate, and this is by 100%. So you're doubling their action forward in the bracket. If you increase their speed, chances are it's not going to be by a lot. But however, with the thing with Bronya is you have to remove a debuff from an ally in order to advance their action forward by 100%. But once you do, you also increase their damage by 25%. This all happens for 1 turn. And then after the target ally takes an action, they increase their speed by 25 for 1 turn. Her ultimate basically says also if you after she casts her ultimate, increase the attack of allies by 30% and critical damage of all allies by 20%, and this lasts for 2 turns. So she is just a powerhouse for buffing all your characters, albeit it has to be done through some debuff for manipulation. But once you get that, that's gonna happen more often than not, to be honest, from what I've been like looking at. Also, she can advance her own like actions. Her passive says after using a basic attack, Bronya's next action will be advanced forward by 15%. And then to top it all off, her technique says for the next battle after using a technique, increase attack of all allies by 15% for 2 turns. So she is just a powerhouse for increasing attack, increasing speed, increasing action turns, all that kind of good stuff. She is just a more the well-rounded S+ tier characters, and the rest of these are just fucking garbage. You don't need to worry about them. No, I'm kidding. Natasha's definitely garbage. I forgot to go over her. She's just another healer. She doesn't do good numbers. Don't even worry about it. She might be here, to be honest, and she's the only, like, this guy and this girl are only the 2 healers in the game, to be honest. I'm going to put these characters, the main characters, into like a question mark kind of area, simply because of the fact that I know that they're good. I can't put them somewhere in this list because I don't have the numbers for it. So I'm just going to put them in the question mark, because you're going to guarantee this character anyway. It's not like you need to must pull this. No, you're going to get this character. It's free to play. It's the main character. So if I had to put this into perspective, S+ is absolutely get, no matter what. Set your whole life on getting these characters. S is a must pull. You need to have these in your team at some point, really like as soon as possible. A is you can go without them, but you should get them whenever you can. B is like mid, really don't need them. You can go the whole game possibly without them. C is just don't even bother, and D is just Who's Arlon? I don't even know who that is. Who? Arlon who? Anyway, that's it for the video, guys. I hope this is very helpful. You can screenshot this, do whatever you want with this. Hopefully this will help you guys determine which characters you are going to summon for when you get into the beta. Hopefully you get into the beta. Hopefully I get into the beta. We're all waiting. February 2nd. Here we go.